my last game. This is actually the game that gave me S rank. So I am. I believe it's the game that gave me S rank. I don't think I've played any in S. So I have a ton of 4-drop, so I'm going to mulligan the other 4-drop, the Lakian, which is a better late game card than these two. Because these don't immediately affect the board, so they're very good early. Earth Sister's not terrible late game because she makes it difficult to remove her cleanly, but she's definitely better mid game when she can just wipe the entire board. So in this situation, I'm just going to walk forward and play my Sunsteel, and he doesn't have a clean way to remove it yet, so I'm not really going to feel bad about the about allowing it to be attacked from both sides. If he plays like another Primus Fist and removes it, that's fine because he's taking 4 damage and using an opening gambit and a lot of things. Oh, he's actually able to Holy Immolation, so that's something I didn't really play around well. But one of the things about Holy Immolation is that it's always going to be good. It's a very good card, so it's just difficult to ever play around it to the extent that it won't do anything against you. Now here I make kind of a play that I'm not sure about. I could have walked over here and put the Earth Sister over here and then buffed my guy and killed it, and I wouldn't have this, but I'd have the Earth Sister on the board. And I think that may have been better. The only issue is that the Earth Sister is so far away, and now I'm kind of pressuring him because I have a buff on myself, and I have 2 minions, and I'm able to apply some pressure with that. One consideration is I have 2 natural selections, but when these die, they turn into eggs. Now, he's probably not going to kill them if they're going to be eggs, but it means that I can't really trade off my minions and then use my natural selections, which is something that you can usually do with non-rebirth minions. So this deck is only built well around natural selection, but it could really it does hamper you occasionally. There's some anti-synergy. It's just that natural selection is such a strong card. So in this situation, I really don't want to take the damage, so I kind of make that play we were talking about. If I could buff my general up, I think I would just trade straight in. I wonder, do I end up trading in? No, see, yeah. So I end up making the natural selection play, I think. Oh no, I don't actually. I make just a misplay because I attack. Oh no, I don't. I'm sorry. I did have to trade both minions, or both minion and attack. And my thinking here is that anything he could play here, without his Bloodborne spell up, anything he could play here is either a what's that minion? Windblade Adept, which has 4 health, or 4 attack, excuse me, or it's going to be 3 attack. There's not much that they play that's actually more than 3 attack. I am getting kind of low. I mean, he could attack me down to 10 and then potentially have some, maybe a Holy Immolation for 4, putting me down to 6. So I could drop pretty low. But this would, he could Holy Immolation over here. So I could drop pretty low, which is a concern, of course. But I do have the ability to retreat, and Sunsteel and Young Silitha are really good at defending you because they're so hard to get through. So I'm not overly worried about just getting Zerg down here. And anything in proximity to this being Holy Immolation would just kind of kill itself off, most likely. So I'm not overly worried about that. And my thinking is that I'm just trying to kill him right here. I just think that I can natural selection or egg morph every one of his plays for the next few turns and win the game that way. Like Ironcliff Guardian, for instance, is a powerful minion, but it's only 3 attack. So natural selection, Sunsteel is just hugely powerful. And I'm going to hold all this removal in my hand, I believe, because it's just so good if I can every single turn just kind of develop onto the board and kill what he's playing for just 2 mana or 4 mana even. And actually, the Earth Sister, if I make something into an egg, the Earth Sister can attack his general and just kill the egg with its splash damage. So that still allows me to keep applying the pressure and not really have the downside of the egg morph. So that's interesting. Now, here there's always kind of the decision of, do you attack because leaving something above the threshold of 2 health is really good, because it means that my opponent can't get through this. You know what I mean? Like, my opponent right here can choose to hit this and put himself down to 5, which is, dangerous for him. But he can kill it off. So that's kind of a concern that he can kill it off. But I think that applying the damage allows me to set up lethal pretty easily here, because this also does 4, and this can do damage, and a thumping wave, and all kinds of things. So in this case, I think it was better to do the attack. But in some situations, I think you'll be better off not doing the attack. Now, Lasting Judgment is a card that I did not play around. That's something I've been seeing more often, actually, out of some decks, and it's really strong in some situations. Most cards are not strong in every single situation, but it definitely, plays really well into Sunsteel. So right here, his Bloodborne spell is going to be up, and I don't want to walk forward and attack him, because if I walk forward and see, the thing is, if I attack him, he won't be at 2. If he was going down to 2, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Right here, I could attack him, because I'm going to go up to 3. So this gives him the option to trade, back. But instead, I think I'm going to win this game. So I don't want to allow him to do the tie, because what I mean is that if I attacked him, I'd be down to 8. If he could find a way to do 6 out of hand, which isn't impossible, it's something plus Holy Immolation, like Saber Spine, Holy Immolation, something like that. Instead, he's going to play the Regalia and the Blood Tier, which is a pretty low value minion, so I don't know if that's exactly the direction he wants to go. But he's able to roar it, which means that my Macantor will actually die, which is actually pretty good for him. Right here, instead, I play the Argeon, because I'm not really sure where I want to go in this situation. And then I play the Azure Herald, because I want to make sure that I can't get bursted. I think I'm going to win. If he plays Trinity Oath as the card we're most scared of, because that allows him to kind of regain the card parity. Right now we're ahead on cards and life. The board's pretty even, because he can just, even off the board right here. Getting the Earth Sphere is huge as well. If he's only playing 1 minion a turn, Natural Selection is really good. This is where it shines, when, the opponent's playing the only minion onto the board, and you can kill it and then develop your own minion. Unfortunately, War Beast isn't going to be fatal until I can kill off this Regalia, so that's kind of situation win. We're probably going to develop the Earth Sphere, and that will allow us to start being aggressive with our general again, because we won't have to worry about being bursted. And we draw the Silithar Elder, which means that we can just sort of develop, what we can do is play the Silithar Elder in a pretty aggressive position. And I'm not sure if this was the correct position either, because it sort of allows my opponent to find an answer. And then we suicide this, and this is now the lowest attack minion, so Natural Selection kind of comes in and finishes that off. And then we're playing a Silithar Elder in an egg against an opponent with only 4 HP and 2 mitigations, so the Silithar Elder is lethal. And we have a Macantor to clear anything out. So we were able to beat this Argeon deck, and Argeon's one of the staples of the meta, so being able to compete against that is certainly good. Not that this, one game is indicative of the matchup overall, but, just sort of having the tools and seeing how they work in this situation is pretty interesting. So those were the games I played. I really like this deck. I think the Silithar Elders were really good in spots where you need to play a value game. Usually the Magmar decks win by just sort of bursting you out with thumping waves and rush minions. But if you have an opponent that can sort of outvalue that, that's sort of the That's sort of the issue, if they can kind of heal up through that. The one interesting thing is that Cassiva is going to be someone who can defeat that plan some of the time with Kalanos. Although I feel like the Magmar matchup versus Cassiva, in my experience, hasn't been too terrible. But Silitha Elders aren't particularly good against Cassiva late game because she has the Bloodborne spell. So you're sort of not, in theory, you're good in that matchup. Or in theory, that's the type of matchup you want, but because of the specific interactions of the cards, that matchup doesn't play out as well as you'd like. So thanks for watching. Hope you like the deck. Definitely watch the deck tech. If you only watch one part of this, watch the deck tech with Papson, because he's the one who made this and he knows what he's talking about. So he won the entire Tuesday melee with it. He beat me in the semifinals, and I was just really impressed. So I got the chance to talk to him, and I had a good time. So and this actually got me all the way to string. So thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it.